Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's start breaking down the process that we see that. Okay, so the process to do, okay, is we want to collect factors of that last term of the C term. Okay, we want to look at what multiplies together to make that C term, but then adds together to make the B term. Okay, so stick with that. Don't worry about what I was saying if it doesn't make sense. So we're looking for pairs of numbers that multiply together to give us the C term. Okay, so the C term, so what I mean is the last term there. Okay, so pairs of numbers that multiply together to give us C. Okay. The same numbers would add together to give us the B term. Okay, so let's just, before we look and put it into a sort of trinomial format, let's just look at what I mean by that. Okay, so we're looking for pairs of numbers that multiply together to give us one number and add together to give us another number. Okay, so we're looking for add there, two numbers that add together to give us the number 5, then multiply together to give us the number 6. Okay, so we're not looking at the format, trinomial format, I'm just looking at this as an example. Okay, first thing you want to do is look at whether they're positive or negative. Okay, and that's really important, so making sure we've got the correct sign. So both of these terms are positive. Okay, so we're going to start in the multiply, and we're going to look at all the numbers that multiply together to make the number positive 6. And these numbers can be two positive numbers, but they can also be two negative numbers. So bear that in mind. So that's really important as we work through that. So we can multiply two numbers together to make positive 6. So we could multiply the numbers 1 and 6 together, or we can multiply the numbers 2 and 3 together. Okay, so there's no other whole numbers that we can multiply together to make that a positive 6. So these two numbers can either be positive, or both negative. Okay, how we determine that is we are looking at these numbers, and if we added them together, what would give us this target here? Okay, so if we, to multiply, we would get this number here. If we added the same two numbers, the exact same two numbers with the same signs, so in this case both positive, what would we use to get there? And the answer is the 2 and the 3. Okay, so the pair of numbers we're looking for that multiply together to make positive 6 and add together to make positive 5 is number 2 and 3. Okay, so let's look at another example of that. We're looking for numbers that add together to make the number 8. Okay, so that's our target when we add them together, but they multiply together to make the number 12. First thing I want to look at is the signs, right? Okay, I picked up, so they're both positive. Okay, so to multiply two numbers together to get a positive, we can either have two positive numbers or two negative numbers. We can't have a positive and a negative, so that's what we need to do. So what numbers multiply together to make 12? What are the factors? Okay, 1 and 12. Okay, 2 goes into 12, so 2 times 6. And 3 goes into 12, 3 times 4. 5 doesn't, 6 does, but we've already got that as a factor. Okay, so these are all the pairs of numbers, or these are all the factors of 12, but these are the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make that number 12. Now we are looking through those pairs, and we are looking for the set of numbers, the pair of numbers that add together to make 8. Okay, 1 and 12 doesn't, 2 and 6 does. Boom, that's the numbers that we're after. Okay, so multiply together to make positive 12, add together to make positive 8. Okay. Another example, if I'm moving too quickly and I scroll away and you're still copying, give me a wee shout. Let's look for numbers that add together to make the number negative 7. Okay, they multiply together, to make positive 12. Okay, so we've got a positive number when we multiply them together, but when we add the two numbers together, we're getting a negative. Okay, so we're following the same process, so don't be worried about that. Just make sure it's correct when we take it out of the format. Okay, so what can we multiply together to make a positive? Well, 2 positives or 2 negatives. Okay, then just follow through the exact same. So what pairs of numbers? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Okay, if we were to add 1 and 12, we'd get 13. That doesn't work. 2 and 6, we'd get 8. That doesn't work. 3 and 4, we'd get 7. Okay, so we're looking at 3 and 4, but we're looking for a negative. Okay, so it's not going to be positive, so we want to use the 2 negative signs. So we want to put the 2 negative signs in front of those numbers. Okay, and then use that. So the pair of numbers that we're using, multiply together to make 12, add together to make 7, would be negative 3 and negative 4. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, just do a couple more very quickly. Okay, I'll just use the letter A for add. So add together to make negative 11, multiply together to make 10. Okay, so positive, positive, negative, negative. We're making a positive number. Going through them, 1 and 10, 2 and 5, no other factors there. Okay, added together, that would make 11, that would make 7. Neither of them is negative 11, so be very careful. We're looking for that negative sign. So we need to change these numbers into 2 negatives. That's the numbers that we pick. So that's the 2 numbers, that's the pair of numbers that we want. Negative 1, take away 10. Gives us 11. Okay, so remember that adding together, that's our target. Okay, so be very careful with this sign. Then let's throw a wee spanner in the works. We want to add together to make positive 5. We want to multiply together to make negative 14. Okay, if you're more comfortable, you could put a wee positive in front of it just to make sure you know you can visually see it. Okay, there's nothing stopping you do that. So positive 5, multiply together to make negative 14. Now, how do we multiply two numbers together and get a negative at the end of it? Well, we can either multiply a positive number with a negative, or we multiply a negative number with a positive. Okay, so writing these wee signs out, these just help you just put it into a wee process, okay? So write out, we either need to have a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive. We can't times a negative and a negative and get a negative. We can't times a positive and a positive and get a negative. Okay, so it needs to be a combination of these two. We still look at pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 14. So we still follow that same process, which is 1 and 14, 2 and 7. 3 doesn't, 4 doesn't, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't. Okay, then we're back to 7. Okay, so these are the only pairs of numbers that make 14. We want to make it a negative. Okay, but we want to add together to make positive 5. Okay, so we want to use either positive and negative sign, we want to use a negative and a positive sign. And it's just a case of going through it, okay? And you might look at it, and the more you do, this will become a wee bit more obvious, okay? So let's just go through it. If we had positive 1 and negative 14, if we added them together, we'd get negative 13, so it's not that. If we had positive 2 and negative 7, we'd get negative 5 if we added them together. So it's not that, but we're getting close. Go down to the red box, okay, we want a combination. If we had negative 2 and positive 7 and added them together, we'd get positive 5. Okay, so we want to use the terms negative 2, positive 7. Okay, that's a wee bit trickier, that one, but does that make sense? Super. Okay, so I want you to try a couple, and we'll blitz through them. So let's try these examples, okay? So add together to make 6. Okay, so question 1, add together to make 6, multiply together to make 8. 2. So start doing these, guys. 8. Okay, start working your way through these. Okay, so we'll take as a group, let's just take 5-6 minutes, okay? So just stay on the call, we'll just take 5-6 minutes, just work through as far as you can, then we'll just blitz through them, okay? I'll come back on about 25-26 past. How are we getting on with them, guys? Does it make sense what I'm asking you to do? Okay, so answers, I'll just write the answers down beside them. I won't go through the whole process. For the first one, I'd have positive 2 and 4. Okay, so I've got a wee comma to split them. Second one, I would have positive 1 and positive 8. Third one, I would have negative 3 and negative 5. Shout out if you're way off. Okay. Fourth, I would have negative 3 and 7. And the fifth one, I would have negative 6 and 3. Okay. Anyone not getting that or way off? Or okay, so that wee exercise was just getting that process in your mind. Now we'll look at, okay, how's that applied to this trinomial? How's that applied to this bigger sum? Okay, so I've already touched on it. So a trinomial, I'm going to come away from that, guys. If you've not copied it, let me know. Okay, so trinomial in the format ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so let's do an example of one of that. Okay, so an example would be x squared plus 6x plus 9, or if there was something in the a space, have 2x squared plus 4x plus 6. Okay, so when I say we're trying to multiply two numbers together to make the c term, if I was looking for the c term in this expression, I would do 9 would be the c term. This one would be 6. Okay. Likewise, the b term would be this 6. The b term and the one below that would be this 4. Okay. A, we're looking at that term there. And remember, it's not written in algebra, but there's effectively a 1 in front of that x squared. Okay, so there's a single x squared there. Okay, we don't write it, but there's essentially a 1 in front of that. Okay, so A, B, C. So multiply together to make the C term, add together to make the X term. So you will be given something in that format. Okay, so look out for that format and you'll get asked that. Factorize fully. Okay, so as soon as you see the words factorize, okay, first thing I want you to do is write down CET. Is there a common factor? Is there a difference of two squares? Okay, if there's not, and there's not, then we're looking at trinomials. Okay, if it's a trinomial, we're doing the following process. Okay, we look, or we write down the following headings. Okay. Okay, we want to add, we want to multiply. Okay, write down those following headings. Under those headings, we put the C term. So under multiply, we put the last number, that last number. So I'll just put the number on its own, the number without an x. Okay, so under multiply we put C term. Okay, under the add we put the B term. So under add we put Okay, so that the number in front of x. Okay, so remember trinomials is always those three terms. X squared, x, single number. Okay. 5, always look at the signs needed under your multiply. So look at your signs under multiply. Okay, so just as I was doing when I was going through those wee examples, I was writing down positive, positive, negative, negative. So if the number is a positive, if we've picked out that number, that C, okay, as being a positive, just put under positive, positive, negative, negative. Okay, it's just a good wee habit to do. Okay, or if it's the numbers are negative, so I'm a negative and a positive, or a positive and a negative. Again, it's just a good wee habit to get into. It's just a wee reminder to yourself. Okay, it won't gain you a mark, but it certainly won't lose you a mark. Okay, then this bit was what we're following into. Okay, we're putting the numbers into brackets. So we're taking those factors that we found, those two numbers that multiply together, and we're putting them into brackets, and that's what we're just about to do. Okay. So put the factors into brackets. My C's are a bit curly, but you can tell. Okay, so put the factors into brackets, and it's going to follow the format x plus or minus number, and then the second bracket will be x plus or minus a number. So we'll have two brackets side by side. Okay, so that's the sort of format we're looking for when we factorise. So even when we're doing difference of two squares, we were coming up with two brackets, x term plus or minus something, x term plus or minus something. Same for trinomials as well. Okay, so that's that sort of process. Okay, every time we see factorise, CDT. Okay, if it's trinomials, we're writing the following headings: add, multiply. Looking at the C term, okay, so that solitary number in its end, we're putting that out under multiply. Look at the B term, so the number in front of x, okay, we're putting that under add. That's our target, okay. Under multiply, that number, make sure you've got the correct sign. Is it a positive or a negative? What we're trying to get to. Is it a positive? You can only have positive and positive, or a negative and a negative. Remember that negative and a negative. Okay, sometimes you'll miss it out and you're like, okay, don't fry yourself. That's what it is. If it's a negative, you need to have a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive. Okay, let's do a couple of examples of that. What's the time? past. Okay. Question will ask, factorise or factorise fully? Factorise or factorise fully? Okay. 1. X squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, we're looking at that. We're obviously seeing a trinomial. Okay, there's three different terms. There's an x squared term, a x term, and a single number. Okay, so we're seeing that, and we can see a trinomial, but I still want, even if you think you know what you're looking at, always write down C, D, T. Is there a common factor? Okay, because there might be a common factor in this trinomial that you can remove and make things a lot more simpler for yourself. Okay, so just be very careful. So common factors are the thing to always check for. Is there a common factor in this other than 1? Nope. It's definitely not a difference of two squares. Difference of two squares would just have two terms. Okay, so it's only a trinomial. So we're only following the trinomial process. Okay. Trinomial process, got two headings: add, multiply. Okay. Underneath add, we're taking the b term, okay, and remember you can put a wee positive sign, okay, just to make sure you've got that visual. Underneath the multiply, okay, we'll put the c term. Okay, again, you put that wee positive sign just to remind yourself, just to make sure you've checked that. Okay, so it's a good wee stop to make sure you've checked that sign. Okay, sometimes that will be a negative. Okay, and then it's just following that process. So it's a positive, so we're going to either have to be two positives or two negatives. All the numbers that pair together, that multiply together to make 6, we've got number 1 and number 6. Okay, and we've got 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 doesn't, 5 doesn't, and then there's 6. Okay, multiplies together to make 6, but adds together to make 5. 2 and 3. Okay, then we're setting up the brackets. So we're taking that one step further than what we were doing last time. So we did positive 2 and positive 3. We're setting up the brackets in that format. Positive 2 goes in this one. Positive 3 goes in this one. That's a factorised expression. Okay, so that's the two factors of that expression. Remember, you can always double check if you've got the brackets. Okay, and just do FOIL, so you've got x squared plus your 3x plus 2x plus 6. Like the like terms, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, so that's just a recheck, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, perfect. Okay, but that's our final answer. So factorise x squared plus 5x plus 6 gives us in the brackets x plus 2 bracket x plus 3. Okay. Everyone okay with that one? We'll move on to the next. Okay, next one. Okay, so same process. Example 2, x squared plus 12x plus 20. Okay, I want you to write CDT. There's no common factors, it's not a difference of two squares, so it's a trinomial. Okay, that will become useful later on. Okay, these examples don't mean much, but will become useful. Okay, so add, multiply, okay, 20 under there, add together to make 12. Both positive, you can put that wee sign if you want. Okay, positive, positive, negative, negative, that's just a wee reminder. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and then there's nothing else. Okay, so that's all the factors. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20. Okay, what numbers there? Either two positive or two negative can be used to make positive 12, 2 and 10. Okay, make the brackets up, x plus 2, bracket x plus 10. Okay. Okay, to move on. Okay. 3, let's throw in a negative. X squared negative 11x plus 28. Okay, same again, CDT, trinomial, it's not that, it's not that. Okay, add negative 11, be very careful of that sign, make sure that sign comes with you. Okay, multiply, positive 28. positive, positive, negative, negative. Okay. All the factors, 1, 28, 2, 14, 3 doesn't, 4, look at my answers, 4 does, my god, 7, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 7 does. Okay, so again, good. So that's all the that's the three pairs of numbers we can multiply together to make 28. Okay, we're looking for something that adds together to make negative 11. Okay, so 1 and 28, positive or negative, whatever, that doesn't. 2 and 14, close, but no cigar, so that doesn't. 4 and 7 does. We need to use either 2 positives or 2 negatives. Okay, so in this case, it's going to have to be 2 negatives. So we get the number negative 11. Okay, does that make sense? So we're adding negative 4 and negative 7 together. Okay. X, we're putting in that negative 4. X, we're putting in that negative 7. Conscious of how much putting in front of you, but I'm also not wanting to leave you without enough information for the October break. So next week we're off. Okay, it's the October week. Okay, so the October week is the 14th of the 10th, so we won't have a Zoom call. Just thinking, don't want to confuse you, but I don't want to not be in the correct position. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to do it tonight, but I'm going to put up a video for you to watch, and that will at least give you the information. Okay, and you'll have it there. So if you could watch it, even if it's next Thursday, if you take a bit of time, I'll put this video up and I'll also put another video up, and it's just putting it in the format when there's a letter in front of the x squared as well, and what you do when that happens. Okay, so it's a slightly different way to look at it. Okay, I know we've been talking for quite a while, so I don't want to give it tonight because it probably won't go in. Okay, probably won't explain it particularly well because I've been talking a lot. Alright, so I'll put a video up if you can watch it, even if it's next Thursday at this exact same time, or when you've got a bit of time. I'll put that together, and then I'll email you as a group and just say that's available, and I'll give you the link to it. Okay, I'll also give you a wee exercise sheet just to work through as well. So we won't be together on the 14th, but we'll be back together on the 21st. So if you're able to watch the video I send you the link to and work through the exercise sheet, brilliant. If you've got any problems, I'll be there or thereabouts, okay? I'll try not be on my laptop, but I probably will be on my laptop during that October break, so I might not come back to you in the same day, but I might get back to you later on in the week. Okay, so if you've got an issue, give me a wee shout, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Okay, certainly before the 21st. Okay, so don't sit in a problem, email me straight off the bat and get to me. Okay, so I'll do the next step, I'll put a wee video together and we'll call it a day there. Questions on this? Okay, if you want to work on a couple, if you do on page 27, question 11 and question 12, and question 13, what's question 13? Okay, so 12, and again, it's using this term quadratic instead of trinomial. Don't be too worried about that, just use the CDT, trinomial and quadratic, it's fine. Okay, so work through what you can in these. Don't need to do them all. Okay, just do as many as you feel comfortable with. Factorise the following. So I think they're just changing the signs about. So just be careful with where the signs are. But I think that's the only real difference. So 12 and 13. Okay, look pretty similar, so that's all right. And then this type of equation, this setup, where there's also a number in place of where I would put the A term. Okay, we've not done this yet, so that's what I'll put the video up for. So you've got that before we come back on the 21st, so you're not left hanging for that length of time. Okay. And then, yeah, common factor. Okay, so until I put a video up, if you can work through, what did I say there, 12 and 13? Okay, work through as many as you can in 12 and 13. Okay, over the next couple of days. Sandra, yes. Well, can I, have I muted you all? I'm a terrible person.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. Were you asking a question there, Sandra?
Sorry, did you say, you said question 11?
So, sorry. Okay, so question 11, question 12, perfect, and question 13. Don't do them all, do them until you're comfortable. Do a couple in 11 where they're both the same sign. Do a couple in 12 where there's sort of different combination. And 13, again, it just changes the signs about. Okay, so do as many as you want.
Okay.
Also look at the different resources. Remember, you've got BBC Bite Size, you've got the resources on Moodle. Okay, so if you don't think it's been explained very well, or you think, okay, I think I've got it, but I want a wee bit extra, remember there's loads of different resources. Okay, find a resource that you're comfortable with. Okay, any questions before we part ways? No. Okay, brilliant. Guys, I appreciate that. Long old shift. Okay, so I will be in touch shortly over the next couple of days, and then we're not together next week on Thursday, but we're together on the 21st. Okay, so nothing on the 14th, together on the 21st. Okay, brilliant, guys. Okay, I'll stop sharing that. I'll end the record.